For the longest time, there were rumors of a God of War roguelike that was being developed by Santa Monica Studio. At Sony's February State of Play earlier this year, it was finally revealed and shadow dropped. Play as Kratos and journey through the lost years of his youth. And guess what, Andrew?
What's up, Ben?
I haven't played this game.
No, you didn't.
But you have.
Boy, oh boy, it took me quite a bit of time, didn't it?
Yeah, but, we know we're really late for the normal time frame on a review on something. And
yes,
this review is going to be a little different from our normal format. But we wanted to use...
It's definitely going to be a bit of an interesting one, and definitely a testing format for Ben and I. So definitely let us know your thoughts on how we did here, and if you guys enjoyed it. But yeah, Ben, when this got revealed, we were pretty excited, I would say. I remember touching base with you, and we both had a pretty high excitement level that this was an actual thing after a lot of rumors.
Yeah, I mean, years of people talking about this God of War roguelike. It definitely wasn't what I was expecting at the reveal, but I still thought it looked really cool. I know we talked about that during our bonus and Good Chumpany episode.
Indeed. So I'm gonna dive kind of right into the meat and potatoes, and I know that you had mentioned you have some things that you'd like to talk to me about. So if at any time you want to just kind of jump in, Ben, feel free. So
will do. Yeah, I know very little about this game, so this is a learning experience for me.
Yeah, and that's kind of what's really cool is I get to be that revealing factor for you. So right off the bat, the game is a 2D Metroidvania, which coming off of a year of absolutely insane Metroidvanias, we have some big shoes to fill. We have Hades 2, which I very recently talked about how addicted I am to the game. I haven't had a chance to hop on it recently just because of the amount of games coming out, but of course I will be jumping back into that no matter what. And then, of course, Hollow Knight Silksong, so this already had some big shoes to fill. You play as young Kratos as a teen, going around with his brother while they are still journeying through Sparta. And right off the bat, the fact that we get to learn about Kratos in his younger years is really appealing to me, because we know Kratos' journey throughout kind of his younger adult years, and then of course when he gets older, and we see in the more modern games where that goes. However, we never really got much information about when he was young. I was personally curious about that. I don't know if you were, Ben.
I wouldn't say I was, but once the game was revealed showing that it was going to be taking a look at that time frame, I was like, oh, I never really thought about what that experience was like for Kratos.
Yeah, so let's go right into the overarching story that you're following throughout the game. I won't dive into too much spoilery for the story itself, other than some slight things, but pretty much the baseline of the story is you are Kratos and his brother Deimos, and you are currently in the search of a missing teen Spartan, Vasilis.
Okay, I want to jump in real quick.
Yeah.
First question I have for you, because it wasn't exactly clear in the trailer from what I remember. Is this game co-op?
Not at all.
Oh,
it is an
interesting.
AI companion that will show up here and there.
Oh, okay. See, from the trailer, I kind of got the impression it was co-op, but it didn't specify that.
I did too, and I waited to kind of chat with you about this for that specific reason, because I feel like a lot of people had that impression, and I feel like they did a really bad job at representing how that side of the game is. Deimos, in all reality, isn't even there for the majority other than, like, story moments and then occasional boss fights. So most of the time you are running around yourself through this Metroidvania-esque map. It would have been really interesting to have co-op in a Metroidvania.
Yeah,
I was really hopeful.
yeah, I was curious because, like I said, the trailer kind of seemed that way. I mean, there was definitely moments where it was just Kratos in the trailer, but then there was the other character.
Yeah.
I don't know how that would translate to a Metroidvania, but
that's where the curiosity comes in, is like how would that play out? And I feel like at least couch co-op it could play out at least somewhat easier.
yeah, maybe
I
sort
feel
of
like
a
online co-op would be a really tricky situation for this style of game, but I would love to see it.
yeah. I feel like it would have to be. I mean, we're getting a little off track here, but I feel like it would have to be like player one is the camera, like where they are.
Yeah,
is where you go, and you got to stick with player one.
yeah, you're basically locked in with them. But yeah, no, our little tangents, of course. So back to Vasilis. This is your story. This is your through line. The game is your center point, and where you go from there, it, of course, grows and expands. However, I'm just gonna come out right out of the gates and say my first real bit of criticism here is that because it is centered around a search, a lot of the time is Kratos gets to a location. Oh man, I just missed him. Maybe I should go here and look. And repeat the cycle. Which kind of made the next part of the game, the exploration, feel a little less amazing as it could have been, because the story behind it wasn't really as driving of like, oh, I'm going to this area to do this big thing. It becomes more of, all right, here we go. Let's go to another area where he's not going to be.
Yeah, that's kind of rough.
It becomes hard to keep your attention sometimes.
Yeah, it's like I know I'm gonna get there and not accomplish anything, and just go to the next area.
Exactly, and but mixed in there, you get these boss fights with these Greek mythology creatures that are, of course, like I'm getting all of these references that I love. I'm a massive Greek mythology nerd, and so. That's really cool to see. However, once again, we get into this weird duality where, because we've seen Kratos deal with basically every bigger Greek creature imaginable, we get a lot of the B-list creatures. So, of course, he kind of, which does make sense. I mean, it's a young Kratos. He's not, of course, anywhere near the power level that he is in the next games, but
he's not yelling at Zeus yet.
Not yet. But you know, it still feels like they should have had at least some moments where he feels like he's really in over his head. As you know, because even in the next God of War games, there are moments where he kind of feels out of it, like over his head, but then of course he always does it. I mean, it's Kratos, dude. So that side of it, the story mixed into the exploration, already makes the pacing of the game a little difficult at the start, especially. That's because what I just told you there, that is the through line. That's what you got. And the game starts pretty much right off the bat with you need to go on a search for this guy. So we'll dive into the gods because you actually just briefly mentioned them, unless you have a question on any of what I was just talking about.
No, I think you covered it well.
Yeah, so the gods. This was a question I had going into this game. What is Kratos' relationship with the gods? And my goodness, seeing a young Kratos and having a massive optimism in the gods was intriguing.
Yeah, that's compelling, I'd say.
It definitely didn't hold as much weight as I think it could have, but it definitely gave some kind of difference between, all right, we're seeing young Kratos and he has so much faith in the gods, and now we know, like, you went from that to the complete opposite end of the spectrum, and now you're murdering all of them, like, which, I mean, they kind of deserved it.
Oh yeah, they got what's coming.
But that's at least intriguing. So you get to see the progression of where he came from and why he gets to where he is, and kind of as he grows that leadership mindset and that very kind of, I don't want to call it cold, but it comes off as that cold-heartedness to him. But also, it's where he learns that you can't always follow the rules to a T, and sometimes you need to follow your own conscience. And that growth is intriguing, and that's really the story that kept me invested in the game. And as you go, that gets really rich once it builds out, but it's still that same, we gotta go find Vasilis. So while we get this really intriguing growth of Kratos when he's young, and I completely forgot to mention, we have Kratos when he's older narrating to his daughter, talking about this time period. And we see this loving Kratos with his daughter that we didn't get to see that side of him before we see the very angry Kratos in the original games. So there's a lot of really deep, rich, interesting story happening, but it all feels like it kind of just falls to the sideline compared to, let's go find Vasilis.
Yeah, it's really interesting themes they seem to be exploring, and
100%.
I haven't played this, like we've said, but like I wish they explored that stuff more.
Yeah, I felt the same way playing the game, where you get these small glimpses of Kratos talking to his daughter and talking about the lessons he's learned. And it's like, wow, can I have way more of this, please? Because we'll dive into the next bit now, where, like, the movement throughout the game. Movement in a Metroidvania is crucial.
Yeah, super important. This is where more of my questions come in, and movement is the top of the list.
Cock the shotgun, brother. Let's go, because I'm just going to let you shotgun blast them at me really quickly before I dive into it.
Okay, well, I want to go over movement first. That's first and foremost. How is it? Is it compelling in any way?
Extremely slow and sluggish. I'm not even going to hold back. Right off the rip, the minute I moved my stick, I got really worried because it felt so slow. And as you progress through the game, you get things that speed you up a bit, but even with those progressions, which is a natural Metroidvania element anyways, it just never feels like it speeds up to the speed that you need it to be at. And so it kind of feels like a drag of you just wandering through these landscapes and being like, oh my gosh, I wish I had a way to get to my location faster. And you unlock fast travel down the road, but even that's only does so much, you know?
Yeah. So, I know we've been spoiled with movement in Metroidvanias over the last year, even with games like Silksong and Hades. Uh, but I know they were going for a more retro aesthetic. Would you say it feels slow compared to like the OG Castlevanias or Metroid games, or is it in the same ilk as
So
that?
I'm going to at least, I'll say this. I went to at least see kind of what other people thought on that side of it too, just because I only remember so much of the older Castlevania games and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And general consensus that I found was falling in line with me, that it at times felt like it was the same pace, but at a lot of times still felt just a tad slower, which works to its detriment. Because, like I said, you're constantly feeling like, oh, this is really sluggish.
Yeah,
Or,
especially
like,
in games where
this-
you're exploring.
Yeah, oh yeah, but also not only that, it's not very varied.
Oh, you mean
Like-
exploration-wise? Like,
Yeah,
maps?
and movement wise, like it's you have your dash, you have your jump, and you have your roll, and
Oh,
that's basically the extent of it. There's a little bit more to it, but it's nothing adventurous. And when, like I said, when you're coming off of a year like last year, you have to have at least something there.
Huh.
And to me, nothing in the movement shined.
interesting. So that can kind of tie into my next question. It doesn't sound like it's going to be the case that it's a good thing. But a big part of Metroidvanias is upgrades. As you go through the game, you gain more abilities to access new areas. How are they in this game?
Okay, so here we're gonna mix in combat talk
Okay.
as well as movement talk, because the upgrades are very kind of hand in hand.
Yeah.
So the main point of upgrade for like progressing through the game are these boons from the gods, and those boons you can upgrade even further, and each one is unique, and it's interesting to cycle through those, and different playstyles can benefit from different boons and what they grant. And the problem there is that while some are movement-based, none of them change that slow, sluggish feeling at all, other than the sprint. But the sprint, there's a stipulation here, the sprint uses up a resource cost, basically, a mana cost.
Oh no.
So it's not like you can just sprint. You have to actually regain that, and much like a God of War game, you have to actually use a specific kind of attack to gain specific kind of orbs to refill your different meters.
Oh no.
So now we get into a layered combat system with that, where like you didn't give much on the movement side with these boons and abilities and such. However, almost every single boon has a combat side to it. And all of the combat stuff throughout the game have a lot of upgrades. So like the spear, you have 3 different areas you can upgrade. And the shield, you have different things you can upgrade. And so there's a lot of variability in it. And so like you see this very like shining kind of vision that they had for where they wanted to go with the combat system, because of course God of War is known for its combat.
Mm-hmm.
However, with all of those upgrades and that variability, the combat still kind of lacks a punchy weight to it. it is the main thing that kept me coming back, other than just seeing Kratos as he kind of progresses in his emotional journey. But even the combat still felt like it was missing a lot for me. And at times felt slower and sluggish as well. And once I got the hang of the combat system, it felt a little bit better. But nothing about it shined as well. So now we have movement that's really slow and sluggish, mixed with combat that is just good. And you pair both of those together, and it's not a very amazing experience. It is. I don't want to trash on it though. It is a good experience, and it plays well. It still plays functionally well, and I didn't encounter any bugs at all during my entire playthrough.
That's good.
So that's a huge win.
Yeah.
However, like I said, especially coming off of last year, you cannot come into the game with something that's just okay.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And so far, the movement was less than okay, and the combat was good. So it was really hard to keep myself engaged, especially with everything that was coming out too. And that does factor into kind of how the game is viewed, in my eyes at least. Because I didn't feel like I was having as much fun as I should have from this game. And for something that we've been hearing a lot of rumors about for a long time, like, I had wished that there was a little bit more oomph behind that movement and that combat. But the upgrades, my goodness, they had me there. Like, any weakness area you got, they really have something for you. And that's cool, because they catered to the fact that, like, the variability in Metroidvanias for combat. And so that side of it, well done. There's room for improvement, of course. But that kept me intrigued. So that was helpful. However, that's not enough. And unless you have another question, I have something to tag right on top now.
Yeah, go for it.
So with that, of course, if the movement isn't the best and not the most engaging, and the combat is just good, what else do you have that is kind of going throughout the game? Of course, you have the story that we touched on. Then you have the actual visuals and the area design. And there's a good variability of different areas, actually more than I had originally expected. And while that the map isn't absolutely massive, it's pretty big, and there's a good amount to go through. However, the movement makes it take a bit through that. So each area is very stylistic to, whatever Greek kind of architecture is in that area, or kind of, the earth around them. It's beautiful. The game looks great. I don't know how many stills you've seen. And I know that, of course, you are our video editor, so you're about to see a whole heck of a lot of the game. But it looks great. It fits into the style that they were going for, with looking very retro. However, there are only a couple moments where I was like, ooh, that's really nice. And other than that, there isn't much that's visually out there. It feels a little safe in ways, especially for a genre that is typically very heavily stylized. However, I enjoyed enjoyed going through each area, and I really enjoyed the little elements they put in each one. So, while not amazing, I think they did at least a good job with the visuals, and no matter where I went, I didn't have a moment where I thought it looked bad. I just had moments where I was like, man, that missed opportunity. You really could have made this go worlds beyond.
Yeah, I was initially very surprised by the decision to go with the retro aesthetic. Like I thought it looked good in the trailer that I saw, but it's just not what I was expecting for a game that's been rumored for so long.
I think it would have benefited from leaning away from the more retro and going into more of kind of like example is Hades 2. Like, you know, it doesn't have to be out of this world like complex graphically, but the stylization of that game is so amazing.
Yeah, or like I don't know why in my head with the rumors I'm imagining like an Ori and the Blind Forest sort of thing.
Yeah, like just giving it that kind of love behind the visuals. Not saying that there wasn't love behind the visual, there obviously was. It could have hit other levels that it just didn't get the opportunity to hit. And I also don't know how much of that is just from pressure of needing to get the game out. I don't know what Sony wanted from them too. Like, Sony could have told them, this is what we want from you.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of stuff with Sony, like love you, hate you, but you know, we don't know the whole situation here. So like, there's factors that I can say that, you know, maybe could benefit from this, but if Sony said this is what we want, then that's what they had to do.
Yeah, or even if Santa Monica wanted to do it like this,
yeah,
like, hey, it's an artistic decision. I respect
exactly. Heck yeah, and it looks great. I'll give you that. It just, there's only like a handful of moments where I'm like, wow, and I just sat there and looked at it. And unfortunately, in my 21-hour playthrough, just a handful of those moments is kind of like, oh man, especially in a God of War game.
Yeah, we've been spoiled. That's what it boils down to. So, you got anything else you want to say about this game, Andrew?
You know, listen, I know that the way it does sound is that, oh man, this was a big miss, but we all had high expectations for this, I feel. And the other problem that I've brought up multiple times is that we're coming off of a very high year for Metroidvanias. And so to kind of go back to a very middle of the ground kind of game in that formula, it is a big jump, you know? And while there are a lot of critiques that I have for this game, the fun that I did have was really fun. And the extra really interesting story that I got to experience for Kratos and watch exactly what I was hoping to see, like more explanation on where he came from to how he got to where we see him throughout the original games and now the newer games. So it is fun, but it's missing some momentum behind the story. It's missing nice, good, fluid movement that really could have benefited it. And it feels like it left me wanting more than satisfied.
So, a mixed bag.
Very much.
Okay. Well, I got one more question for you. Kind of
Hit
an
me.
odd one. just to kind of wrap it up, because I feel like we're at
that's
the
how I
end.
love it.
Who would you recommend this game to?
Ooh. Okay. First things first. If you are a big, like, God of War story fan, while this isn't the biggest addition in the world, it's some really cool additional growth for Kratos, and I think it's well worth experiencing that. And I enjoyed following Kratos once again through another journey and seeing his growth and kind of now understanding, oh wow, you really went through a lot to get to the point where you are now, because that's a big shift. And then also, I'm not going to say die-hard Metroidvania fans, because I feel like if you are a die-hard Metroidvania fan, you're gonna feel a little upset about this one. But if you enjoy a good Metroidvania and you just want to be able to sit back and experience it, I would say grab it on a sale and experience it then. But overall, if you love God of War, if you enjoy a fun, casual Metroidvania that you can kind of just come back to here and there, I would go for the game when it's on sale, because I came back to it over periods of time. I did not chunk through this game much like all of the other games I've played this year. But the fact that I'm able to do that with this game is actually kind of a benefit for the game, because there's not a lot of games I can do that with right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you for playing God of War Sons of Sparta.
Heck yeah, dude. Thank you for hearing how I feel about the game and, letting that kind of be your kind of quote-unquote first impression of the game. It's really cool to have the questions as well, where it's like, these are things that I was kind of thinking about, but not to like that extent sometimes, and also just things that I obviously in the middle of the conversation was completely forgetting about. So, it was really cool to have the opportunity to do this. And like I said, don't hesitate to pick this game up if it's on sale. And Ben, I recommend you do play the game at some point. Put it in your backlog, and I have a way for you to play it without paying anything. So.
Oh, okay. Don't tell Sony.
Oh, shh.
Well, thank you for taking the time to be with us and listen to us go over God of War Sons of Sparta.
Heck yeah. And thank you for your patience. This review did take a bit of time to come out, but I think that I needed to give it the air to breathe. Otherwise, the review would have sounded way worse than it deserved. And I got to actually look at this in kind of a hindsight and be like, you know what, this game is kind of just that middle-of-the-road mixed bag, but it has its fun, good moments. I wouldn't have been able to come to that conclusion without that time, now that I really think about it. And granted, it could have been less time, but still, I appreciate you guys sticking around for it, and we'll get some better timing on the next ones.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe we will. Maybe we won't. We try.
Yeah, we'll try. All right. Well, I'll talk to you later, Andrew.
I will talk to you later, and have a fantastic day, night, some kind of time, everybody. We will see you all later.
Bye.